couple months since you moved into your grandfather's old farmhouse. You left behind some things, but nothing you miss. A job you didn't like, a home that was suffocating, friends you didn't really care much for, worrying parents that still call you several times a week. You're okay with that, though. The night sky is perfectly dark out here, in the middle of nowhere. There's no stress from work, no noise from the city. Just silence and peace and neighbors too far away to bother you. It's a nice house and it's familiar, filled with good memories. Overall, this is a great place. You thought you'd get better out here. All that anxiety, the nervousity, the constant visiting. And it did. Kinda. But more so in a way that you're now completely avoiding everything that stressed you out before. When you do have to interact with someone, it's 10 times worse than before. You're not sure you'll be able to ignore this for the rest of your life. Maybe it's just time for therapy after all. You've never been to therapy, you have no idea how it works. But not knowing that is making you anxious, so you can at least imagine something. First things first, there's going to be the greeting. You're going to introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Jay. Therapist will nod. It's nice to meet you, Jay. My name is... You don't have a name for your therapist. You're very bad at making up names. My name is Therapist. The therapist is gonna say, so far so good, you can handle that. So what are you here for? That's going to be a great question. Well, the stress, probably the anxiety, maybe the fact that you've also started talking to yourself and the thoughts way more often. Like talk, not just forming words, but literally talking with your thoughts like there's the person. The voice in your head is a bit of a snarky ass sometimes. This can't be healthy. Probably. How would you know? You're no therapist or psychology major or whatever. No idea how it'll continue after that. You'll tell them that. Deep breaths, Jay. Deep breaths. Alright, you can do this. Tomorrow you're going to look up some therapists nearby and give them a call to find out if they still take patients. And I already hate this. Yeah, putting yourself out there is not very comfortable, is it? It won't be easy, but you're sure you can do this. Tomorrow you'll get up, eat something, take a shower, just in case they ask you to come over immediately. Which they might do. How would you know? You've never been to therapy. This would be so much easier if you knew what was gonna happen. Deep breaths, Jay. Everything is alright. You find yourself calming down just the tiniest bit. Great. Or would be great if this was the moment that you hear a noise outside. You're decently sure you didn't imagine that. Or something or someone out there. Let's just... Well, definitely someone friendly. Definitely. You won't catch a wink of sleep if you don't check to make sure. There's no way around it. It could be a raccoon or something, which would be fine, but your neighbors told you about bears. You do not want bears. It could also be an intruder, which is no better because those could come into your house. Maybe you shouldn't have moved so far out into the countryside, or right next to a forest. It can get pretty scary here. At least your grandpa's trusty shotgun. She was so not gonna use it. Whoever made that noise doesn't have to know that, though. It has to look intimidating. You grab the shotgun, whether you like it or not, the weight feels comforting in your hands. You listen at the door for further noises, but it's quiet, so you open the door as slowly as possible and peek outside. Nothing. There's no one around, but the noise did come from the direction of the empty barn right next to the house. Maybe something's is inside there. You're still convincing yourself that it's some small animal as you approach. Small animal sounds like the best option right now, next to it being nothing. But it's something. It's a damn large shadow that twitches in the corner when you peek into the suspiciously open barn door. Who's there? Come out. You don't sound threatening. You sound like someone who did not want to check the barn at night and who definitely doesn't want to shoot. If someone or something doesn't move, still, you're sure it's there. I have a gun. Come out or I'll shoot. No, you won't. But you do raise the shotgun just a bit. The moment you do, there's a growl. It's deep, throaty noise, and you're immediately sure it's not a wolf, or a dog, or a bear. There's no way an animal to make such a human sound, but then again, there's no way for a human to growl like that either. Oh god, do you want to leave? But you don't. You stand your ground, shuffling the tiniest bit to the side while totally not quivering like a leaf in the wind. You finally find the light switch. Click. The light shouldn't be affecting your sense of smell, but only when it's on, giving you the visual input to realize that it smells like iron. There's a bright red trail running from the barn entrance to where the figure is cowering on the ground. It's definitely not a small figure, and you spot the heavy bleeding gash on its side immediately. You'd be shocked seeing someone bleeding this much if you weren't shocked by the one bleeding. It's a man, you think? Male, maybe more accurately. And it's not happy to be disturbed. Several eyes, you count 4 pairs, are staring at you. Teeth still bared in a growl. Dangerously long horns and spikes run from its head down its back into a scaled tail that is raised in a threatening twitch. The long clawed fingers are digging into the ground. The creature is terrifying. Oh, you guys know what I'm doing. You all know it. We're gonna go, but it's hot though. That is... The darkened skin offsets the icy blue eyes, all wide open pairs of them, and the glistening scales ranging from almost black to pale turquoise. The creature's gorgeous. You should be way more scared about this, but somehow you're not. Beautiful things have a way of calming around you. Besides, you're not anxious in front of animals or plants either, so why would you be anxious in front of a monster? Sure, that makes total sense. As you're staring, fascinated, the thing lowers its growl into a rough rumble. You snap out of it, finally taking a moment to assess the situation. This is not a human. This is not an animal either. This is, in fact, not a being that you've ever expected to see outside of a movie or drawings, and yet, it's here. This is a monster in your barn, and you're not going to question that for the moment, because if you think too deeply about it, you're going to have a nervous breakdown. The creature doesn't look hostile or wary. It's bleeding, but now it's slowly moving as if the weight from its injured side is sitting up. You can see its legs formed different from yours, much more suited to walking on all fours. It doesn't look as odd to you as you'd have thought such a thing should look. You try not to stare too hard, keeping your voice as calm as you can. Can you understand what I'm saying? One of the two pairs of eyes, two pairs of ears, twitch forward. The growls quiets further, now pretty subtle. The creature continues to stare you down, skeptical. You have a feeling he understands you. That's one very judgmental gaze right there. Still hot. There's just something about that condescending gaze on that man who was bleeding on your floor. That could be something to mention to your future therapist. You don't say any of your thoughts out loud, or at least you didn't. Or at least you think you didn't, but the creature you decided to call him a man for now looks even more condescending now, like he's offended you're checking him out. Alternatively, he thinks you're stupid. You give it another try. Do you need help? Duh. Bleeding out on the floor? I'm sure he's fine. More ear twitching. Finally, he stops growling completely. He just exhales through his nose audibly and shifts his weight further. He's leaning against the bar now, two eyes moving to look at his wound while the rest keeps staring at you. How is his brain processing the information of them all looking in different directions? You'll have to look up how chameleons do that. Anyway, he seems to have judged you as not a danger to himself. You're about as dangerous as a fly, so he's right about that. With the man seeming more approachable, you decide to squat down. When trying to approach frightened and hurt animals, it's best to make yourself as small as possible. You're not sure about frightened or animal, but the man sure is hurt, so the concept should be similar. You get a frown in return for your movements and a wary growl when you put down your shotgun. I'm not trying to hurt you. See, I put away the gun. Praying you don't regret this. You're hurt. Can I take a look? All eyes return to focus on you. The bleeding doesn't appear to have stopped, and the man is suddenly beginning to look rather exhausted, weary. You've seen your grandfather take care of sick animals before. This isn't a look of surrender, it's a look of someone giving up. He doesn't even react anymore when you shuffle forward, just letting his head fall to the side a bit, eyes almost closed. It'll be alright, hopefully. Up close, the man is twice as beautiful. There's just enough human about him for you to regard him as humanoid, but enough animal or monster to feel foreign. You've never seen anything like him before. You've thankfully seen some man injuries before because, wow, that looks nasty, considering your previous job, so you're not put off by the stench of iron. The wound looks bad. It's hard to tell under all that blood, but it's mangled like you expect a wound to look after an animal attack. Maybe one of those bears. You don't exactly have the ideal equipment to treat a wound like this at home, but you do have enough that you can get him patched up. The rest will rely on his own healing powers, which are hopefully better than a human's. A human most certainly wouldn't survive this outside of a hospital. But a human also doesn't have 8 eyes and does not react to pain at all, so you're pretty optimistic. I'll be back in a moment. I'm gonna get some things to help you with that wound, okay? You think he understands, judging from the way his exhales through his nose again. Command mounts sure lets you do whatever. He watches you with the gaze of someone fully expecting to be stabbed with a knife at any second. Surprise start to mix in when you don't, instead nudging him carefully so you can work on the injury. His skin is cold like that of a reptile's. When you get him to move his arm, his stomach reveals tight lines of muscles. The lack of a belly button. Your focus could be on the latter, but since it's you we're talking about, it's not. Oh. Okay, we're gonna do it. Gotta grow up those ads. Come on, look at him. The presumed to have hatched from an Eggman doesn't like to get groped. Whoops. He's been letting you do whatever so far, but now he swats your hand away, shortly growling again, though it's a bit weak. You may have saved his life, but not his dignity. You like the condescending gaze better? Good for you, because it returns immediately. When you're done with the wound on his waist, you check the rest of him. There's streaks of blood on his face, and where his fingers had dug into the ground, bloody drops have colored the earth darker. You wipe away what you can and let him lie where he is, breathing shallowly, all eyes almost closed. Something tells you that he's resilient. He will make this with some help. Food and water, shelter, time. Safety, to not be found by wild animals or worse. Humans who would love to get their hands on the thing that has never been seen before. You can offer him that. Oh. Scott, obviously, he can rest here. You're not going to throw out a hurt person, not when he's being docile. You can stay here if you like. As long as you don't hurt me, I don't mind you occupying the barn. A single eye opens, focusing on you. With another huff, his tail whips around to the side, coiling on the ground in front of you. I'll interpret that as an agreement. He doesn't respond anymore. Little by little, tension leaves his body. He's tired from whatever fight has caused the wound. He needs rest. His body tilts over to the side, once again curling up tightly. You haven't killed him so far, and even if you wanted to, he's not in the mood to put up with a lot of resistance. He's sleeping, and pass-out face is much softer. You hold back the urge to touch it and leave him alone. Hey, if monsters exist, then maybe the voice in your head talking to you like it's another person isn't so weird after all. Wait, does that make it better or worse? You sleep fitfully that night, dreaming of eyes and slithering scales. One morning comes, you're almost eager to check if last night had been a very detailed hallucination. On the way, you pass by the bloody tissues you've thrown into your trash. Not a dream after all. When you check on the stranger, he's where you left him, almost shuffled off to the side, a bit more hidden away, but awake. Probably startled by the noise, he quickly gets up, the wariness thankfully passed almost immediately. Recognizing you, he tilts his head and a thin forked tongue slithers out between his lips. Your tongue is gone before you can really look at it. Was he sniffing the air just now? Snakes mainly smell through their tongues, you know that. You have knowledge about snakes. Oh, we're going with that's so cute. Like snakes, their scales feel nice and their little tongue flicks are absolutely adorable, especially in the tiny snakes. Even though this is a very tall man doing the same thing, it still enhances his cuteness factor by a lot. You wish you could take a video of it. Back to the topic. The main point is the sniffing isn't a threatening gesture, quite unlike the growl. Although, to be honest, there is so much from different animals mixing you can't. Can you even trust what you know? You can see as more of a greeting? That's what you decide to do, at least. Compared to yesterday, he looks much more relaxed. It really helped that you haven't tried to kill him. I brought you some water and a meal if you want any. You don't even need to tell him that. 2 eyes are on you, 2 eyes are looking around, and 4 are fixed on what you're carrying. All the way until you put it down in front of him. You have no idea what the man with the fur-like hair who growls, has scales, horns, 8 eyes, and 4 ears might eat. So you didn't bring only water, you also brought milk and juice, just in case. And the plate is carefully balanced mixture of meat, vegetables, fruits, eggs, and bread. Without hesitating, the man goes for the hard-boiled egg first, appearing confused for a moment when he notices the inside is not fluid anymore, and follows it up by the meat. You observe him as he eats. He's not purely carnivorous. He eats the fruit next, and then the vegetables, and even the bread after suspicious licks and nibbles. His tongue flicks out over the lip, lick his lips several times, long and almost white. It doesn't match the rest of his mouth. You leave him to his meal, mostly observing his preferences but not bothering him. Once he's done eating, it's time to check on his wounds. Can I check how your wounds look? He shifts the tiniest bit. Yes, you think. This time you say your thoughts out loud while you're working, how the wound looks, what you're checking. His ears flick and twitch, and all 8 of his eyes stay focused on you. He's listening, but how much can he understand? You wouldn't know. He has yet to give you a sign. This is looking good. It stopped bleeding, and there's not a single sign of infection. I don't think you should move around too much, though, or you might tear it open again. You sit down in front of the man. Well, since you might be here for a while, let's get along. My name is Jay. I live here alone, so you don't have to worry about anyone else seeing you. My neighbors are pretty far away. We don't really interact a lot. You babble on. It's easy to talk to someone who is listening but not commenting. I don't get visitors either, mostly because I don't spend a lot of time with other people. People are scary. Dwayne Gaines turned absolutely incredulous of this statement, makes you almost laugh. You scared? Hey, you got your confirmation that he understands you. That's cool. Seriously, I'm unusually super awkward around others. Can't get the words out. I can't see that happening, is what his gaze says. Their existence is so surprising that I'm finding it hard to get scared, like my brain isn't exactly treating this as real. What even are you? And what's your name? Do you have a name? Can you say it? The man looks at you for a while, then growls. Not growl, though. It's a very specific growl with an odd intonation, and it's hard to describe, but you think it's an introduction. Yeah, I can't pronounce that. He thinks again. Then he speaks, which is a nice way of saying that he Yeah, intimidate. That's not the word. He copies the sound of your words the same way a parrot might. Varen. Varen. He doesn't correct you, so must have managed to get it somewhat right. Maybe this is how you'd pronounce his name in human language? Cool. Nice to meet you, Varen. You're starting to realize that Varen is actually very expressive. You can basically tell what he's thinking just by looking at him. You're odd, rude. His eyes and ears, his tail, the way he tilts his head, and even trace of his mouth are constantly conveying messages to you. It's so much easier to read him than humans. How is the monster easier to read than humans? Humans, what are you doing? Stop being so complicated. Oh yeah, thinking about humans, you're gonna postpone that therapist. Yay. I mean, too bad. Back to business. For convenience, do you think you could talk to me directly? Head tilting, is this really necessary? Fair point. You're not having a lot of problems reading him. You should look slightly disappointed. He looks silently back. Your mother always said that it's hard to deny you anything when you look disappointed. You continue doing so. Varen's tail starts to flick. The longer you silently look disappointed, the bigger the flicks. Then he gives a tiny, non-threatening growl of annoyance. You humans are complicated. Karen speaks slowly, but makes sure to have every word pronounced correctly. There's not even a lisp. It seems like he knows all the words, but needs a bit to get used to saying them out loud. Actually, his mouth moves very little when he talks. Maybe he has another way of mimicking your language. You try hard not to get giddy at the fact that he's fulfilling your wish. You have about 4 dozen questions, but you need to ask them one by one. Priorities. Haha, we sure are, but about you, do you need anything? Like a blanket or a mattress to lay down on, or 4 of his ears jump down to the empty plates on the ground. 4 of his eyes jump down to the empty plate on the ground. Food. So hungry? I can get you more. What do you want? Eggs. How about 1 more hard-boiled egg in the fridge and 2 fresh ones? How many do you want? He looks at you. How many? So many. I guess I'm going to drop by one of my neighbor's places after all. One guy has a chicken farm. I can buy a lot of eggs there. The owner's very quiet and doesn't care about anyone's business. He's not going to ask what you need a lot of eggs for. The thought of dropping by gives you a twinge in your stomach, though. Are you hurt? Huh? You notice you've wrapped your arms around yourself. Awkward. You wave them around to show that you're fine. Oh, no, not hurt, just anxious, but I'm going there to get you a meal so I can do it. No problem at all. The attractive monster in your barn wants a meal, so you're going to get him a meal. Soon. For now. Other than food, are you okay here? Or not? I need rest. He gingerly puts one hand on his waist where the bandages are covering up his injury. You're going to get him a meal in a moment, but his sleeping situation is more or less covered. He could totally sleep like that. I think you might be too big for this, but we're gonna go with it. Why did you say that out loud? You don't think he completely understands what you're implying? Maybe because he doesn't know what a bed is, but his gaze sure turns suspicious. No, I'll stay. He motions to where he is. Oh, sure. The shame. Will you stop it already? How does someone like you have social anxiety? No, don't want the answer to that. I guess this is just how much you're into what's in front of you. Will you be cold out here? He huffs. Most certainly not. You're tempted to procrastinate visiting your neighbor further, but the gorgeous monster wants his meal. To your surprise, you manage rather well. Your neighbor assumes you've gotten visitors according to the comment he makes, and you don't correct him. Your monster is waiting for you in return with his head raised and tongue flicking out repeatedly. Lunch is here. You act like you've been calm all along, but it's the sight of the not-human who soothes your nerves. You hand me the basket of what's a dozen raw eggs. He picks up the first handful of eggs easily, holding them to his mouth. His jaw unhinges. There's a lot of snake-likeness in the movement, though his teeth show off are deadly, not snake-like. Behind a row of sharp, carnivorous teeth are little spikes covering the entire inside of his mouth. Standing up further, the more he opens his mouth. If he bites into something, it's not going to free itself without flesh tearing viciously. His mouth closes around the eggs with a crunch. Something tells you he could do the same with your skull. He'll be a good protector. Absolutely. If you don't mind your enemies splattered all over the room, hey, I am okay with that. Aaron is busy finishing his early lunch, by which I mean you have solid 3 minutes to just stare at him until the basket is empty. Jaw back in place, he looks at you with some eyes, not all of them. He likes keeping a watch of his environment. Why are you helping me? The more he talks, the smoother the words come out. You're marveling at the sound of his voice until you register what he's asking. Huh? Humans don't like strangers. He's very right there. If there's one thing humans can't stand, then it's things that they don't understand. If it's a living thing, an intelligent living thing, then it's worse. You're not scared, you were, but before you saw me. With his slow, deliberate pronunciation of every word and his little rumbly voice, you're getting a whole lot of an live ASMR stream. Yes. Yeah, I was worried that there was an intruder, which, okay, you are technically an intruder, but I mean a dangerous intruder. Unhinged jaw skullbreaker, which you technically are. What I'm trying to say is, I was scared that you would be something or someone who wanted to harm me. I'm not scared of a bear, because it's a bear. I'm scared of being attacked. And you aren't attacking me. I could be waiting. You could be, it just doesn't feel like it. I'm not making a lot of sense, am I? I don't know. You awkwardly laugh and play with your sleeve. Sometimes you're so bad with words and explaining what you mean, you don't make any sense. Aaron takes a lot longer to reply this time, searching for the right translation. Trust can only be earned when given. I couldn't prove that I won't harm you unless you give me a chance. Which you did. Oh. Embarrassment flushes your face red. You start rambling immediately, as you tend to do when you're nervous. Honestly, it's because of your looks. As humans are totally superficial. Nothing pretty or cute is dangerous. So I came in expecting an intruder, and then I saw you, and sure, you're very obviously not something I've seen around, or so I should have been worried. But also, you're insanely gorgeous, which made me go, pretty things can't be dangerous. All of Varen's eyes blink, one pair after the other, the whole row down. From what I know of humans, don't like. He fails at trying to get together what he means, his eyes narrow in thought until he has the words put together. You don't like things that look like humans, but then not completely. The fake human bodies made from wood and other materials. Or art everywhere on your skin. Or even humans with different colors. Dolls, tattoos, and skin colors. He's got a point there. If you're going to find a ton of people who don't like the uncanny valley of dolls, who think tattoos and piercings are ugly, or who just plain racist. What he apparently doesn't know is that there's an equal amount of people who do like it. Beauty standards are a very subjective matter. Some people like it different. There's plain curiosity in Baron's voice. He's not teasing you or trying to be mean at all. Like you. Yep. Like me. We don't talk about the kinds of books you read and the games you play. There's a pattern here, Jay. There's definitely a pattern. Even if you haven't noticed it until today. Oh no, I noticed it a long time ago. I know there's a pattern. I know I need therapy. We're okay with this. They say that fiction and reality can't be compared, but the truth is that in your specific case, there are some rather unclear lines. Yes, I'm aware of them. You have... Pause. Interesting. Pause. Long pause. Tastes. Yes. Yeah. Self-awareness, nice. Thank you. I believe for humans it is positive when someone says they like your appearance. You've been swooning over him rather than giving a friendly compliment, but this is acceptable misunderstanding. Since we talked about me being scared, what about you? How did you come to hide in here? Speaking of, why didn't you attack me? Vern's nose creases slightly, his tail flicks around hidden in agitation. There was an intruder, one of my own, for my space, home, area, your territory, an area that you've marked as yours? Yes, we fought, I won, but he wasn't alone. Implying that after their fight was over, more intruders appeared. Poor him. He got injured and had to retreat, landing you here where you hid away. Wait, how many of you are there? Vern mimics a shrug. How is it that there's a whole species out there having territorial fights, and they haven't been found yet? Although maybe they have and it's been covered up, better not to ask too much. I can't kill a human. I could have fought back if you attacked, but more might have come. I also cannot hunt. Too many questions. Why can't you kill a human? It's forbidden. If we kill a human, your species will attempt to destroy us immediately. You've got nothing to say to that. Couldn't you tell I was the only one here? Yes, but humans have ways to call others even from afar. Phones, of course. He's not entirely sure how the technology works, then he has to be wary of you doing something and there suddenly being a whole horde of humans. You can't hunt. You're bleeding a lot, but you've already healed up a ton. It looked bad to me, but was it that bad for you? I need too many words. I don't know how to explain. I can move, but not a lot. I am healing, but not yet on the inside. I can only heal this quickly when I can sleep. So, to summarize, well, it looks like today he's almost fully healed already. It's just on the surface, the injuries run deeper, and he can't walk, let alone hunt, which means he was risking starvation without support. In the end, what was your plan? Hide away from the intruders? That much I get, but wasn't it a bad idea to do so close to humans? They won't come close to here. The most dangerous place could be the safest ones. And I've watched this place. It's my territory. You rarely left, and only during the day. I believed I had a chance you wouldn't notice. You sure are getting called out today, aren't you? If you hadn't been awake in the middle of the night because you were too fidgety to sleep, you definitely would have missed the noise. And since you never entered the barn, you wouldn't have found him either. Good thing that for once in my life I left the house when I didn't want to. Vern gives you a look for that. If this is the territory you live in, then we were practically neighbors. Are you going to reclaim it from the intruders? You pray he's going to. You don't want him to get into another fight. But the thought of him living nearby and maybe dropping in once in a while is nice. His throat rumbles slightly. Yes. Condescending gaze was hot. Determined, proud, and slightly aggressive gaze is hotter. Don't you dare twirl your hair and giggle like an idiot. Hold it back. Awesome. That means I'll continue to see you around. Yes. Yes. You're definitely always welcome here. You grab his hands in excitement. Vern twitches a little, 4 eyes peering down, but he doesn't pull back his hands. You only vaguely notice how he curls up his fingers a bit, twisting the sharp nails away from your skin. He honestly looks a bit conflicted, which in turn makes you awkward, but pulling your hands away right now might be more awkward. Sorry, it's Touching no good? It's fine. Why is he asking that as a question? His ears, which had been going up a bit, lower again, and you think he relaxes a bit. Or resigns? You kind of feel like he's looking a bit resigned. Not in a bad way, just in a resigned way. You're still holding hands, by the way, and aren't planning on letting them go. You have a little scales around your fingernails. Great observation, Jay. Proud of you. Perfect thing to say here. It studies the claws. Oh my gosh, he calls them claws. We use them to fight, unlike you. You humans are soft compared to us. Hey, I've got some muscle. He looks over you. You feel a little shiver down your spine when he hums thoughtfully. Soft. Alright, if he's going into soft, you're perfectly okay with being soft. Another pair of eyes drop down to your hands. 3 pairs now, still holding hands. For a species this soft, you think he means something along the lines of weak here, actually. You were very direct. I didn't know humans were this aggressive in courtship. In what? If this was a comic, your head would explode right now. Courtship. He's not only noticing your super subtle flirting, he's also been seeing it as courting him. That's not an entirely wrong way of interpreting flirting, but it's a bit much. You haven't thought that far ahead, a monster husband. What'd your parents think? You definitely have to renovate the house and find a way to. Both of you comfortably live together. There's also children. Think of, like, what does he think about adoption? Is the species monogamous? That kind of stuff is important to know before marriage. Oh, I only got one now. Yes, right. Take a breath, Jay. Don't run away with your thoughts. There's a much more important question to think about. Yep, our whole species is totally like this when it comes to flirting, courting, totally. You don't need to let him know otherwise. All of this has been intentional and planned, and you knew what you were doing. Is that bad? The single most important question is if it bothers him. No. That question, but more so that he's confused you're asking it all. It seems you're lucky that aggressive courtship isn't odd for him, though he might be unused to it. Still holding hands. I simply don't know your kind's rituals. Which makes it hard for him to respond in the right way, you guess. Oh, of course, I mean, I don't know your kind's way either. Which would be how? Just asking out of curiosity. You like a tale for it. Ooh. Damn it. You'd have a tail if you could. Tails are cool. You could finally pull your hands back and sit up all straight, clear your throat, do this seriously. Jay. I might not have a tail, but would you allow me to, court you? He looks at you like he's doubting why you decided that now, after all this time, you needed his permission. You're trying to transition from thirsting over him to officially flirting, so obviously you need his permission now. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Oh. Aaron seriously studies you again and taps a finger against your arm. Even with you wearing long sleeves, there's a distinct difference in build. I think I might accidentally hurt you. Oh. What actions exactly are we talking about that could cause him to accidentally hurt you? I'm sure that's not right. You're a very kind guy. I doubt you'd be that careless. He doesn't believe you at all. It's fair to say that this guy could without wanting to squish you to death, but you see no signs that he'd treat another living being that roughly. You rack your brain on how to prove that to him. How about a hug? You can hug me and you'll see that I'm not that fragile. Ashel flicks around for a while. Once it settles, you can read from his eyes that he thinks this isn't a completely stupid suggestion, at least. And although you just said this is about him hugging you, you have apparently no patience at all because the one doing the hugging isn't him. You don't even wait for him to vocally respond before you lean forward and pull him into a hug. Frankly speaking, you'd never let that guy go if saying, like, this was an option. His body temperature is colder than yours, but not uncomfortably so. It's just a tiny bit cool. He's all smooth muscle, those hard scale-like plates that make you want to let your hands wander all over him. Vern's arm moved incredibly slowly, encircling your waist, with almost no pressure at first. See? Still breathing. You announce your survival quite happily, scooting even closer to see if he cares to let you sit on his lap. He lets you, not minding it. Or it's not a more intimate thing for his species. Or it is, and he's just given up thinking that it's you aggressively courting him again, which it kinda is. Varen does tighten his hug, but not without pausing, constantly checking your reactions compared to this guy as a gentleman. You lean back a bit so you can look into his eyes, or, well, his face in general. His tongue flicks out again, which is, up close, seriously cute. You barely restrain yourself from touching his lips. You really have no fear. You're just not particularly scary. You've been nothing but courteous to me. Restrain yourself from touching his lips. Shouldn't you overthink your courting for a while? You don't know me or even my kind. Technically, you're flirting, which is an early step. Whenever he talks, his mouth moves slightly, the tip of his tongue appearing in your view for a split second. Restrain yourself. For humans, we have the step you'd call dating. It's basically getting to know each other better to see if you make suitable partners. Very simplified. I see. And the step involves... He trails off. Sitting on his lap? Oh yeah, absolutely. Physical compatibility is an important factor. That's about half a lie, because for some people it's not a factor at all, and for others it just doesn't matter very much, but you're far too comfortable where you're sitting to move away from here. Rand's face scrunches up into an expression of thoughtful doubt, not doubting your words, but doubting your chances of surviving whatever image is in his head right now. You have some suggestions for those images, by the way? While his face scrunches up, only one side of his ears lowers, his tongue flicks out again. Seriously, you've been restraining yourself super well, but this is too cute. Know that I am fully judging you for what you're about to do. You've always been impulsive. Usually your impulses center around running away from any sort of social interaction, but now it's the opposite. You simply lean in and kiss him. For the record, he had all the time in the time to move away or stop you, and he didn't. He doesn't tense up. He doesn't turn his head. He doesn't respond either. But he keeps his careful hold on you, letting you do whatever. If your aggressive human courtships include kidding him, he's apparently okay with it. Vern Glipster is cool as the rest of his body, though chapped and rough rather than soft. You can feel the slight gap where he has kept them open. He never closes his mouth completely, and the shortest touch of his tongue more instinctively moving than probing. It's been a while since you last kissed someone, but that doesn't mean you don't remember how it works. Your arms are still around his neck, so you only reposition yourself slightly to make it more comfortable on both of you. You open your eyes a bit just to see his reaction. None of his 8 eyes are closed, all are open. All are open, a sliver all focused on you. It makes you shiver again. You rub your lips against his and Varen complies, opening up his and finally responding. His teeth are sharp, tiny little pangs of pain whenever you brush against them, but his tongue is soft and agile. teasing you until you want to melt. You want to whine when he pulls back, but then you watch him lick saliva off his glistening lips and you're instantly too distracted to make a sound. Breeze. There's a rumble in his words, a purr more so than a growl. Alright, I give up. We want the monster man. He's beautiful, he's courteous, he's sexy, and he will certainly sweep you off your feet and carry you wherever. He can carry you as if you weigh nothing. That's an image we are into, period. So fragile, losing your breath so easily. Farron grumbles the words, but since they're spoken in your language, he did intend for you to hear them. Bless his fault. Like, hello, who's not gonna lose their breath getting kissed by a guy like this? You don't think it's fair for him to say that? You're good at kissing, that's why. He sighs, long sigh. He will have to explain your human courtship to me. It appears very extensive. Extensive? Food, nest, care, compliments, physical affection. You did bring him meals. You also offered for him to stay here. You also bandaged his wound, and we don't talk about the last 2 points. Never thought about it, but yes, I guess it is. The nerves return. If it bothers you, I can hold back. He shrugs. I won't reject the courtship methods of another species unless it is the courtship itself I don't like. Gasp. So you like me? Not disliking doesn't equate to liking, Jay. I have known you for not even a day. Fair enough. But so far you are alright. You're just going to take that as a compliment. So, we'll try? Yes. Maybe it's you beaming at him, but he gets that indulgent, resigned look again. And seeing that, will kissing continue to be part of the courtship? He sighs again. But because your beautiful monster is a very expressive person, you know that he's okay with that. That was the end. That was all there was. It's all over. No, I want more. I want more, my beautiful monster. Kissing is just the beginning. There should be more. Give me more. I am very upset. Alright, fine. So that's it for that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll be back with another one later on. Later, guys. I'm sad. I want more. Well, bye.